Hey everybody, my name is Jacob Deaton and we are here with Southern Wedding Professionals talking to the wonderful Kelly Parada with Golden Pineapple Wedding and Events. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. It is Friday. How are you?
Oh, I'm so great. It's an amazing time to be alive, isn't it?
It is. Ups and downs and all arounds.
Oh man.
2020.
Yeah. So, Kelly, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your company?
Absolutely. I'm a wedding and event planner. So I get to work with couples who are getting married, which is a lovely thing to do. I sometimes work with them for as long as a year, maybe longer. I have worked in as few as 2 weeks prior to a wedding to get everything coordinated and to
Wow.
the wedding.
2 weeks?
2 weeks, literally. Yes.
Oh man.
So at that point, it's just, event coordination where you're showing up on site to help drive the timeline, make sure the vendors are doing their thing correctly at the right time, and taking some stress off the client. But the client
Sure.
has done everything else. So it's a wide range from full service planning, helping clients select their venue, find all of their vendors, make all their decisions, to showing up and kind of managing just the day of.
So would you say that you're primarily in the wedding field and you do corporate events kind of on the side, or you just only do weddings?
No, I definitely do some corporate events as well. I have one great corporate client right now who I do a handful of events with every year, or at least I did until COVID.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I do enjoy having a little bit of a mix of both. So in my previous role as an event coordinator for a catering and event design company in Atlanta, I got to do both corporate and weddings, and it was almost a 50-50 split there. So I did enjoy that corporate side. It's a little bit more of a unique role though, because I think destination management companies have a pretty good hold on the corporate market, especially in Atlanta. So it takes a very unique client for me to work well with them. And this company was such a great fit. And it's really nice to have that diversity.
Awesome. Great. I find that a lot of people that I speak with sort of have specialties, but they do a lot of things, and I find that variety really provides them, more opportunity for finding work.
Yes, because you do get people who inquire about lots of different scenarios. So you've got to be flexible in what you are doing, and you've got to be skilled to know how to do it in order to continue to attract and grow your business.
Right. So maybe let's take a step back and talk about maybe how you got to this point. So maybe where did you go to school?
I went to Mercer in May.
Okay.
And majored in event and hospitality management there, which I still look back and I say, how did I land on that as a teacher? And I credit it to some great advisors that I had in the business school. They helped me kind of find my niche, even though I didn't really know that that's what I was finding at the time. And I didn't think that was going to end up being my career path.
Right.
But, I had a great experience at a career fair they hosted, ran into a connection who ended up working in Atlanta with catering and event service experience. And she brought me on as kind of an assistant to her. And then she connected me via a expo at the Cobb Galleria as soon as I graduated with a company, Bold Events in Atlanta, that I worked for over 11 years, straight out of college.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and in that company, I got to hold a lot of different roles. I started at the front desk as the sales assistant. I was doing Excel spreadsheets and taking phone calls and kind of helping all of the sales team, to being an event coordinator, which I did for a very long time. But I also moved into the operations department and did hiring and staffing and payroll and HR for the front of the house team, which is servers, bartenders, and event managers. and got some really cool experience there as well.
Wow. So it sounds like that you started just basically at like an admin position and worked your way up all the way to being a coordinator and an event planner. And then that's what that whole experience from sort of top to bottom kind of gave you the confidence probably that you needed to step out and start your own company, right?
Yeah. And I'm a pretty cautious person. So yeah, I knew for a while that I wanted to make that leap and start my own company, but having years of experience and training, like having knowledge is definitely something that makes me feel comfortable. If I know what I'm talking about, I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable talking about it than speaking to something I don't know. And I think that's true for many people, but I just wanted to have that base foundation before I was going to do anything on my own.
Right. And I feel like that's something that's sort of lost in today's world of entrepreneurship. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on people just jumping out and starting their own thing, but also there's a less value on people actually being like an apprentice or sort of working their way up through an overall like a company or something. And then that experience then propels them into, starting their own.
Right.
I feel like a lot of the trendy stuff there is out there right now, like on the internet, if you watch any of these nerdy entrepreneurial videos that I watch, it says that like you basically the whole idea is that you're just supposed to do your own thing and, and you're going to make your own way. But like, there's so much learning that has to be done, especially for wedding and event coordination. I mean, like that, there's so many details that go into that.
There are, and there's lots of opportunity for mistake. And I definitely got a lot of learning done by making mistakes. And sometimes that's the only way you really can learn. You just don't realize how many moving parts there are and how many things can go wrong until you experience it. And I thankfully got to experience a lot of those mistakes while having the protection of a company to where it wasn't necessarily always on my shoulders. And I didn't have to worry about job security. I knew that I had a team that supported me. So
sure,
I did get to do a lot of that learning and had the confidence when I went out on my own to make fewer mistakes because they've been made and I've learned from them. And I agree. I think people think that they can start from scratch and just launch a wedding planning company because they plan their own wedding. And they think it's really fun and really cool. And that's true, but it's a job, and it is being of service to people, and it is knowing how to manage crises, and it is kind of knowing what you don't know, or what your clients don't know, and explaining those things to them. And unless you have years of experience doing it, you don't have that foundation.
Right. That confidence to handle the crisis when it happens and to basically be as cool as a cucumber, as they say. And handling those things really gives your client sort of a chance to understand that you've got this under control, and it never really sounds that alarm for them, because if they see you panic, then they're like, well, I should be panicking too,
Right.
So there's so much to that, and there's so much to that, just having that inner confidence from that experience of doing it for so long. Right. So you were with Bold, you said, for 11 years. Is that right?
I was, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so when did you, and so after 11 years, you launched Golden Pineapple, right?
Yes. Yes. The timing's a little fuzzy. So I was with Bold 2006 to 2017.
Okay.
Yes, that's 11 years. There you go. Do the math. Okay. Right. And then I kind of knew at that time I wanted to do my own thing, but as I said, I'm cautious. So I wasn't ready to just make that jump. And I mean, going from a steady company, regular paycheck, health insurance, all these great perks, to being self-employed, I don't know that was, I don't think I realized starting out that if I wanted to be a true wedding planner, that was going to be the route I have to go. There's not really big organizations out there that hire planners and can give you a guaranteed salary and can give you benefits, you basically become a self-employed person. And so when I realized that, I said, wow, I really need to make sure I know what I'm doing before I make this decision. So I was wanting to do it. I had an opportunity come across my lap of working for the Atlanta Tech Village, which was going to change my overall schedule and kind of open me up to have weekends available to take on wedding clients and still do my own thing, but still have a full-time job and still have benefits so that I could kind of simultaneously do the two things. So I took that opportunity and I really enjoyed it, but I also realized that my desire to do weddings and to be an entrepreneur was overpowering. So at that point, I kind of had to make the full-time leap and really get it going.
Wow, there's like so much to unpack there. So let's that's incredible planning, I think, personally. Like I find that you thinking about, I mean, you literally thought a step between the steps. So many people would just literally just quit their job and then go straight to this and then wonder why they're broke in 6 months. And that's so smart. So many people don't do that.
Yeah. And had I not had the opportunity find me, I don't know that I would have made that decision necessarily, but I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity.
Right. Let's talk about the Techwood Village job in between, just so that like we can draw context for everybody. So you're planning weddings with Bold, you're doing these events, both corporate and wedding and stuff. And then you switch to the Techwood Village job, which opens up your weekends. And then what exactly did you do for them?
Okay. Yeah. So it's the Atlanta Tech Village in Buckhead. I got hired to do event and venue sales. So they had several event spaces within their facility that they will rent out to organizations either within the building that are part of the Atlanta Tech Village or to outside companies. So I was doing sale, and it's kind of a dual role there where you're doing sales, you're doing logistical coordination, and you are actually on site executing those events. Most of them happen during the week, which is how I was able to have my weekends free. And they do offer a lot of flexibility with the people in their organization, which was so wonderful. So I wasn't held to certain hours, having to, come into the office. Everybody was on the kind of honor system. I mean, they did want you to have FaceTime there, and everybody on that team was so great, and they showed up and they kicked butt, and it was never a problem. But yes, pretty quickly, I mean, I think it was 6 months into the role, I just realized, oh man, I want to be doing this, but my heart is here in my own company. And I was already kind of getting my website launched, getting business cards made. And I already had so many great connections within the events industry. I was really starting to get the word out there. So I think after about 6 months, I just realized my heart's not in this and I can't do this anymore. So they were even more accommodating with me. They let me hop into another role that was kind of admin, front desk, and it was only part-time. And that let me take my company a step further and really get up and running.
Wow. I think that's amazing. I mean, literally you figured out a way to sidestep and use that crucial, you said it was about 6 months, right?
Yeah. So then I spent another 6 months kind of at the front desk greeting. So it was about a year there full time. That's
incredible. You literally figured out a way to still make money and still have your high priority time available for your potential clients as you built your business.
Yeah. And something else I should add to all of this fun conversation is that while I was also making this transition, I got surprised by being pregnant.
Oh.
So, okay, let me tell you about that. So I got to basically, I said, okay, when I go on maternity leave, I'm just not coming back to this part-time position anymore. So then I was not forced into, but I, wanted and physically needed to take just a hiatus a flat, I'm not going to be working for several weeks to several months. And I ended up taking about 6 months where I wasn't taking new clients or really doing much. And then when I was able to get back to work and, focus on work again, I really hit the ground running. So, and that was in 2018 that I had my daughter in March. And here we are, summer 2020. So it hasn't been that long that I've really been, giving my company my all. And I'm kind of amazed at what I've been able to do in such a short amount of time. But I do credit a lot of that to all the connections that I made in that 11 years of putting in the work with Bold, for sure.
Right. So
go ahead.
So let me draw the line here. So you went on maternity leave, and then you decided that you weren't going to come back to this job. And so while you were on maternity leave, were you still serving clients then, or were you just dedicated to just basically being home and working on the brand itself and advertising, promotion, website, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I was, for at least the first 3 months, I was pretty much not doing anything. I did start to do a little bit of work after that. I mean, I had clients booked for future dates, like for fall 2018, but I didn't have anything going for spring because I just knew I wanted to give my daughter that time and attention, and that I was not going to get that time back. So that spring and summer, I kind of took off, and then I started to pick up again in the fall of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so you came out of, how long was it after you had your child that you just jumped right back into the game? I mean, was it like a week? Was it 2 weeks? Was it a few months?
No. Yeah, it was a solid, I think 6 months for sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I was fortunate to be able to do that. Thanks in large part to my husband for keeping us going.
Yeah. Teamwork makes a dream work, baby. Right?
Yeah.
Man, wow. What a story. I'm really inspired by that. Like I love the fact that you had that much careful planning and that you took that many, those steps to kind of get to where you are. So like, what's an average wedding look like to you? Is most of your clients like full service, or are most of your clients like 6 months or 3 months or 1 month? Do you have like a sort of an average that you sort of do?
I think most of my clients, the booking time frame is about a year in advance, but the majority of them are booking coordination level service only. I do have a handful of full service and partial planning each year, but I think right now my main focus is coordination. So these clients, they have found their own venue, they are booking their own vendors, they're going through all the contracts with them, and I'm in communication with them. As soon as they book, I give them some helpful tools like a planning checklist and a questionnaire so that I can get details along the way, but I don't really start focusing on those until much closer to their event. I really kick into high gear with them a couple months in advance. And I always, want to be copied on their contracts and proposals and things along the way, but I'm not necessarily helping them make those decisions. They are going through the edits and revisions and their vendor selection on their own. So I'm just coming in kind of those last 60 days to get everybody on the same page logistically, tie together any loose ends, and then execute day of.
It sounds like to me that everybody sort of that I talk to about this kind of stuff always has their niche. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I do all of the things, but this is the thing that seems like I get called the most for. And for whatever reason, that's what I do, So I think it's really cool that you sort of identified to some degree what your niche is, and that you're, people really look at you for coordinating and sort of helping you with the broad strokes of things, but you're gonna bring it home on the day of. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, me too. And I love the full service and partial planning because I get more of an opportunity to get to know the family, the couple. I get to more intimately know the details, and day of, it's it's sometimes a little more personal, and I get a little more emotional for those clients because I feel like I know them.
Right,
And,
sure.
but it is definitely a lot more overall work. And so it's nice to only have a couple throughout the year so that I can really give those people, that time and attention that they need and deserve.
So in your now, I guess, a few years of being as a company, how did the idea of the Golden Pineapple come about? Everybody wants to know. We probably should have asked this question first, like in the very beginning, like, what is this Golden Pineapple?
What is this pineapple?
But
all right, sure. It's a little bit of a long story. So I grew up in Noonan, Georgia, which is about 40 minutes south of the city on off I-85, and it is a lovely historic town. We grew up, my siblings and I, in an historic home, and it was registered as part of the National Historic Registry of Historic Homes. I feel like I'm saying redundant.
That sounds very official. I like it. We'll go with that.
The house actually has a name. My father recently gave me a printout of that. It's like 3 different, it's like the Sal Beatty Odom Reese home, I think, named after the first 3 owners of the house. But we would almost annually open our home to be part of the tour of homes, and which was a lovely experience. And it was a really just, cool experience growing up in such a historical home. Well, the plaque on next to the front door to mark it as a historical home had a pineapple on it. And I thought that was really cool. I also, growing up in this house, had a nightlight that my mom made for me. Well, she kind of made the lampshade, but the base of it was a golden pineapple. And so that was my little nightlight out in the hall that would comfort me at night. I still have it. It's sitting on my desk over there. Yeah. And then as I got older and I learned that the pineapple was the symbol for hospitality kind of internationally, I thought, oh, that's really cool. And golden pineapple sounds so cute. And pineapples are kind of the rage right now, or they were a couple years ago. So yeah, it just sort of took off from there. And I hired someone to design a logo for me.
I love it. I think the logo is so cool.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Wow.
Story. So a lot of ties to my childhood and things that comfort me, but also make me, think about the tour of homes experience, especially where we got, because I am a neat freak, I am organized, I am super clean, and the rest of my family is not. So those times that we got to really clean the house and get it prepared for the tour of homes for all these people, coming through our house, were really special and memorable to me and made me really happy. So I kind of associate it with all those great memories of hosting all these people through our house and just creating a welcoming environment.
I also grew up in a historic home. I grew up in Indiana, and I grew up in the house that was built in 1863, I think. So I understand the whole nostalgia of living in a home that's had many lifetimes, and sort of there's little things about my home that when I think about it, it takes me back there. So I think it's just really cool that you sort of tied those things together into the name for your business.
Thanks.
Yeah. So tell me, how are you surviving in this? That's the elephant. It seems like if we don't talk about it at least a little bit, it's like we're just ignoring the reality of the situation, right? So tell me, right. So just tell me a little bit, what's it been like? I'm sure you're rescheduling dates. I'm sure you're, trying to figure out how to, to make this all work. How's your experience been so far with all of this?
Oh man, there are good days and bad days, good weeks, bad weeks, decent months, not so decent months, because here we are months later. At first it was slightly panicked, going, oh no, my whole spring wedding season, which was supposed to be one of the biggest, one of the most profitable that I've had as a company, is gone. Just pulled out from underneath me overnight. And So, at first it was fear, and then it was, okay, wait, we can manage this. It's going to be okay. So, most of those people that were in April and May, we just immediately rescheduled because we were under government mandate to do so. Now, I am still getting people now for the fall who are looking to postpone to next year. I've had people who are looking to book or postpone for a year and a half. So people definitely are wanting to get as far away from this as possible in the hopes that maybe next year will be better. Who knows? Who knows where we'll end up? Thankfully, I have not had more than a couple that have had to, flat out cancel. That's the hardest, because you want to be as gracious as possible, but at the same time, if we make certain concessions, we might not be around next year to execute events.
That's exactly right.
For other people.
Right.
Yeah, it's you try to lay out a foundation of making decisions that are going to apply to everyone, but you do have to kind of look at some of the clients and the events on a case-by-case basis. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I do have some weddings that are executing as early as next month, and a few that are supposed to happen throughout the end of the year. So I'm hoping as many of those can happen as possible. And now definitely there's been a lot of pivoting in those. Some of them are now for 12 to 15 people. Others are reduced from 200 to maybe 75. We're definitely incorporating streaming services, doing everything we can to protect guests in the way of social distancing, providing masks, hand sanitizer, making sure all the staff is masked at all times, temperature checks, partitions on bars and food stations to keep the staff separate from the guests. I mean, there's all sorts of factors that are going into play, and it's kind of it's extra challenging, I should say, because we don't have a lot of information from the government. We don't have a lot of rules and regulations. We basically just have what they have given to restaurants, which is 10 people per 300 square feet. Yeah. So venues can then turn around and say, well, this is how many guests we can host. As long as your party is fewer than that, we can do it. And so clients are left with a really hard decision of, okay, just because my event can happen, ethically, should it? Like, am I comfortable taking on the responsibility of that? And so it's trying to walk clients through that decision-making process. And I don't have all the answers. I can only give my best recommendations and support them in whatever they choose to do.
Right. I couldn't echo that statement any more. I mean, I feel like right now we don't have all the answers, and it's become such a highly politicized issue, rather than a health issue, right. That it's almost like there's not a winning situation almost.
It's not. It's hard because there's so much joy and happiness and also stress that goes into wedding planning, but a lot of that joy and happiness has been sucked out, and just added stress has been added into it. And so, trying to put on a brave face for the people that want to go forward with it, and, trying to make sure they're doing it as responsibly as possible. But still having a little bit of concern, for yourself, being there and being exposed to so many people, and then trying to help them make these hard decisions of, should they have the wedding at all? Should they elope? Should they do a micro wedding? There's just so many different scenarios, and it can be hard to help people land on the right decision.
So pivoting from that question into something that's maybe more futuristic or future-minded, like how have you seen consumer confidence be as it pertains to planning 2021 weddings? So people that maybe didn't have their wedding already scheduled now, or a corporate event now, but they're looking into 2021. What are you seeing in that realm?
I am very hopeful, because And it is kind of our saving grace. My husband and I's family, he's in the events industry too. So it wasn't just myself that was very much impacted by all of this. He was as well. But one thing that has kept us kind of, financially afloat among some of the, government incentives is that people are booking. I have had many new client bookings, some actually for maybe the end of this year. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that's very ambitious, and I'm really hoping, that all works out. But I have had lots of new bookings for next year as well. So I am hopeful. I think, people still want to move forward. I don't know if their thinking behind that right now is that things will be better and it will be the wedding that they've always dreamed of and envisioned, or if they are, still moving forward under the assumption that they might have to do a micro wedding, or they might have to postpone as well. I'm not entirely sure how they're all kind of, viewing that, but they are still booking. People are still getting married. So I am definitely comforted by that. I think people will always get married kind of no matter what's going on. And that's comforting. Do they want, a full vendor team backing them that includes a wedding coordinator or planner? Maybe not, but I think a lot of people still do and still will. So.
Right. It sounds like, yeah. I mean, it sounds like to me from the people that I've spoken with that consumer confidence is still there for 2021, but it's presenting some pretty interesting logistical challenges because what you have now is people that are rescheduling from the spring and the fall into the spring of next year, 2021. And now is about the time people start wanting to talk about, spring and summer of next year, maybe even into the fall. Yeah. And those people that want to have spring weddings in 2021 are now fighting against the people that have switched their wedding from 2020 to 2021. Right. And so, I mean, like from a venue perspective, and even from a staffing perspective, for a company like yourself, how do you sort of navigate those challenges? I mean, like what's your sort of protocol like if a double booking sort of ends up occurring?
Yeah. Well, thankfully I have only had one that has, I had given a date away, and then I had an already booked client who needed to move. They gave me a handful of dates, and I was already booked on the date that they landed on. Mm-hmm. And I just went ahead and said, you know what, you guys have been great. I'm going to refund you because theirs was definitely under, government mandated, could not happen. Right. And it didn't feel right for them to have to be out that money. So I felt good about that. I definitely know that was the right thing to do there. I have never turned away more business than I have during this time because of already being booked on dates. I'm getting a lot of inquiries for the same couple of dates. There's one Saturday or a Saturday in April and a Saturday in May that I think I've gotten 3 or so people interested in these particular dates. And it has been so hard. I mean, it's definitely something that's happened in the past where I've already been booked and get an inquiry, but I've not had this volume of people asking about the same dates. And so it's very hard because and from my point of view, the people that have had to postpone, they still deserve to have their day. They're not any less of value to me as a client just because they were already booked and because Right. They had to move. So I'm not upset with them for taking a prime date for 2021. Everybody's having to be flexible. Prime dates are to me kind of silly at this point. If you want to get married on a Friday or a Sunday, that's fantastic. I say you've got to do what you've got to do to get it done if you want to get married. So sure. It's involving a lot of flexibility. Definitely no resentment for people that have had to postpone, just trying to be as flexible as possible, but sad over all of the turned away business for sure. Right.
Sure. So Golden Pineapple, I guess, is mostly you. It's like you're kind of like it, and you're sort of a one. I would say it sounds like one sort of event per day type of company at this point. Would that be true?
Definitely. I do have an assistant. She's on site with me at almost every single event. She will do rehearsals in my absence so that we can possibly do, back-to-back days, but definitely not more than one event in a day. So it's me. I am the company.
Right.
If you book me for your event, I will be there for you. Yeah.
That's cool. I think that gives it a real personal touch. As far as like the future of your business and stuff like that, is expansion, like where do you see like the company in like say 2 to 5 years? Do you see yourself like sort of staying in the model that you're in right now, expanding to as clients increase? Would you consider expanding beyond just yourself and the very hands-on model that you have right now with just yourself being at every event?
I would love to. It is something that is so personal to me, and I'm a perfectionist. And so putting my name on something and then releasing some of that control to another person is, because I mentioned I'm cautious. That's the jump that I'm not quite ready to make. I love the idea of it. And we will just have to see. I mean, yes, I would love more than anything to grow it, whether it's kind of having other branches in other cities or having some more planners here in Atlanta so that we can take more than one event on any given day. That would be amazing. But right now, I'm just so focused on building quality and getting kind of the way that I do the work structured so that when I go to teach someone, there's not a lot of margin for error, and there's not a lot of question to how things are done. We kind of just have the way that we do it, and we do it that way every time, and we do it really well.
Right. I think that you touched on something really important there, is that like the time for expansion comes, I feel like when you find that special person that you bump into somehow, some way, that shares the same vision and same goal. And when you find that person, usually that's like the universe sort of telling you, all right, it's time to go. It's time to take that next step.
Yeah.
So I until it feels natural and it feels, organic, in so many ways, it's really important that, you stay the course and you wait for that sort of moment to come about. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And it's hard, not just for me. I have assisted many planners in Atlanta, just, showing up day of and helping them, being their second on site. And with that, I've had conversations with them about, is this something you'd be interested in partnering possibly one day? And my answer was always kind of, honestly, I kind of want to do my own thing, which I think a lot of people that want to do the planning, they do want to do their own thing. So it's hard to find people that are willing to join your brand that you've already established as you, because it's them linking themselves to not just your company, but to you as a person. And I think a lot of people have a hard time kind of maybe releasing their view on what they thought it would look like for them to join you.
Yeah, it's really about playing for the logo, not yourself.
Right.
Like your logo, the pineapple that sits behind you. It's if you bring somebody on your team, they're playing for that. They're not playing for themselves.
Right.
You're playing for the logo, even though you own the logo. You're still playing for the logo. So it's it's very much like a sports team in a way. Like as far as like you want good, talented people in your organization to play for your team. And if they're not truly at their heart a team player, that's going to come out pretty quickly.
Right.
And the last thing you want to do is invest a lot of time into somebody, and then them not be a part of that long-term dream and sort of that long-term goal. So.
Right. Yeah. And I always try to be upfront about that when I was approached. And so finding someone who would be the right fit for me now, I definitely understand the challenges behind that.
Right.
I've been on the other side of it.
Right. So, tell us, I always like to ask this question to everyone because everybody always has different answers. And I also think it's a really cool way to sort of cross-pollinate and give people a chance to know about people that you enjoy. Tell us some of your favorite vendors that you like to work with. It could be anybody within the realm of what you do.
Okay.
But like, what are some of the people that you've worked with in the past and you're like, man, they're like really on it and I really love them. And people that are watching this, maybe in the Atlanta area, would say, you should consider these vendors for these other things. So, you know, just caterers, entertainment, you know, etc.
Sure. Well, I still love Bold.
That's awesome. I love that you have such an intimate relationship with those people. That's really cool.
It is. I mean, they're still like a family to me, even though unfortunately over, you know, the course of COVID, a lot of the people have had to shift around or are no longer there. But it is still, you know, at the core, it's definitely family. So, and they have some fantastic people. You know, the culture there historically has just been so great, and it's a great opportunity to learn and to work with a pretty consistent, at least, mindset behind all of the people that will work there.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, let's see, some of my favorites. So for hair and makeup, which is coming to mind, I think probably because I have some phone calls later today. I love Brushworks, and I definitely love Jade Jamrazi. She's really cool. I got to work with her, excuse me. I got to work with her in February for the first time, and I thought she was really awesome and definitely on it. Super responsive and quick with emails, which is always a plus for me, because
Yes.
I'm a zero inbox type person. So I usually move pretty quickly, 24 hours. You know, I try to not go beyond 24 hours. But anytime someone can get back to me quickly, I am immediately drawn to them. I love, let's see, for cakes, I love Jeff with Frosted Pumpkin. He is fantastic. He has so many years of experience. His cakes are delicious. They are beautiful. Consistency is key. He's great. Other floral. I love Andy Beach. He does beautiful work. I don't get to work with him as often anymore. But I hope that I do again in the future soon. I do like Amped for DJ services. Holland has been, again, like a quick responder, worked with him and his former partner, Mike, for years and years. And Mike now is focusing on his coffee, which is so cool. But they were always at the top of my list.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think we could round this up with just a couple of more statements here, and then I think we'll let you get back to doing all the work you got to do for your clients. But maybe just give us a synopsis one more time of just you know, sort of like your core values and sort of like what you feel like sets you apart with Golden Pineapple, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah, actually, sorry. Let me go back.
Go back, please.
Let me go back. Let me say, photographers, I love working with my husband. He is yes.
What's his company name?
Jack Parada Photography. So yes, very straightforward. We're getting to work together actually next month, and then we both have a client in April of next year, and it's not super often that we do get to work together, but it is such a pleasure.
Before we go on to the closing statements, since you brought this up, do you guys actually offer packages where you're like kind of together?
We will, yeah. We'll shave some off to if you book both of us. So.
That's really cool. That's a really cool perk. I mean, you're getting a twofer there. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Yes, we do then have the predicament of finding a babysitter, but that's okay. Because you know, we have some family that can step in there. So,
Right.
yeah, it's fun. And then, you know, he gets all the information firsthand.
Right. Well, tell us a little, give us a little closing statement of something. Doesn't have to be professional or anything, you know, just give us a little something to just let the people know that are listening that you're out there and you're available.
Yes. So COVID has not stopped people from falling in love, getting engaged. It's not stopped people from getting married. And definitely, as you are navigating that exciting, wonderful, happy time in your life, you may need some help along the way. And I would certainly love the opportunity to help, whether it's planning an elopement, planning a micro wedding, or planning a big bash for when we can celebrate safely. We would definitely love to be a part of that.
There it is, folks. You heard it first, right from Kelly's mouth. Golden Pineapple Weddings. Check them out. I think their website is goldenpineappleweddings.com, right?
Indeed.
All right, great. I'm on it today.
You are.
I had my coffee. So on it today from the start. I have been anyway. Inside joke, everybody. Anyway, my name's Jacob. This is Kelly, and this has been Southern Wedding Professionals. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, have a great day, and we'll talk soon, okay?
All right, you too.
Bye.